puts us at 82, 49, and 8 on the season, hitting at a 62.5% clip.
Back-to-back golden boots. That's 3 in a row for me. 3 too, man. Like, not a dime. That's called being for the people.
It's over! The Columbus Crew, 2023 MLS Cup champions!
All right. Welcome to MLS Live, as always, on Sports Profit TV. This is an MLS betting podcast. According to our statistics and results last year, the best in the industry. So coming fresh off of a great week. Week one obviously was disappointing. We promised you guys a bounce back. We put our nose to the grind. And it was a very good week, very profitable. Split on the 2 units. The Sounders unfortunately could not come through for us, despite 1.5 xG to almost 0, but still very profitable week. Big plus money 2-unit winner on the LA Galaxy team total.
So easy.
Yeah, that
so
was fun.
easy.
That attack is special. Overall, great week. So we're excited to be back. Swept our Sunday picks, both involving the Toronto-New England game. We had +1 and the under 3. Both of those came in pretty much sweat-free. So we're looking to keep it going. And Garrett, any thoughts on last week, this week, moving forward?
No, I think it was clear that it took a week to see. This is where, so my personal way of handicapping is I don't do all stats, right? Like, there are people out there with systems, algorithms, all that stuff that just churn out the plays, and long-term they can be profitable. I have to see it. I've got to see the coaches' tendencies and tactics. I have to know and understand that. I've got to see the formations. I've got to see the players. So you saw what happened after we were able to get eyes on legitimate games that first week, and the results spoke for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a couple of storylines, and then we'll jump into the plays, obviously. So week one, Miami travels to LA Galaxy. Obviously, LA Galaxy, very formidable team this season. End up drawing 1-1, and really, Miami snuck out of there. If it wasn't for the beautiful Alba left foot to left foot, Alba to Messi assist.
The red card helped too.
Yeah, that helped as well. So game ends 1-1, but that was not without some drama, without some headlines. Luis Suarez, his knees are gone, and the team is old, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, Miami obviously answered the critics to the tune of a 5-0 drubbing of a pretty decent Orlando City team.
Suarez, you don't see too many 5-0 derbies.
No, absolutely not. And Suarez specifically, 2 goals within the first 10 minutes of the game. So, are we have any concerns? I'm not saying that we did have concerns from the. I had some concerns about Suarez's health, but he looked okay.
No, I think I've said this. Like, Suarez is still going to be Suarez in the tight spaces, right? And that's what you saw when he was in the box, in those quick movements. If he just needs to get a step on you, he can do that. He's not going to outsprint you 15, 20 yards, right? Like that, those days are long gone. But if he just needs a quick step, he still has the instincts. And you saw those finishes and those touches for Suarez. Those were that first goal by Suarez was just excellent. But that second one, that's just a vintage Suarez gimme. Like, that's just what he does. In those tight spaces, I think he'll still excel. It was a good game for Miami. And then now I don't know what to expect this weekend with them sending away Yedlin and Mota. I don't know if we're going to see a legitimate formation change, because outside of Gressel, they don't have a right wing back on the roster. Redondo is expected to play, maybe even start Thursday in Nashville for Champions Cup. And then they brought in a winger today, Rojas from Corinthians. We'll see. I don't know what this team's going to look like now, right? Like, they're still tweaking and going. But I think what you saw with Orlando, I do think Orlando quit. Like, I think it was pretty obvious after that second and third goal that Orlando was just done. But that is what Miami can do when they're clicking, when they have it together.
Yeah. I know Yedlin is good defensively, but I'm not overly concerned about his departure. I thought it was actually kind of an odd signing for Cincy to go pick him up.
So, well, since he needs a right back, like they don't have one, and
But
so
isn't that more like a wing back in the Cincy system?
yeah, that's what Yedlin's been doing. Like he's been doing the wing back, but what they don't have is they don't have that. Kyle Walker is not a great comparison, but they don't have that speed on the right side that
Yeah.
can push the ball forward, which Yedlin can do, but then also shut you down and help get back defensively. Because understand, for Cincy, their left wing back is a natural winger. Like he's
Right.
not going to do much defensively. So this gives them the ability that they need to push up on the right side with Yedlin because he still has his speed. His service isn't great, but he can dribble down that line. He can move the ball for you. Offensively, yes, he's not going to offer you as much. Think like Juan Bissaka from
Okay.
as far as what Yedlin does offensively, which isn't a lot. But Yedlin also lets them, as the game goes on, they can morph into a back four. He can drop back. Everyone moves over a spot, depending on where the possession is and stuff like that. So Yedlin is a good move for Cincy in a position that they had a need for, and there wasn't really a lot of other fixes out there. The GAM that they spent for him is very specific. I don't know what that means. I've heard theories of like Miami is still paying the salary, but because Cincy had to find a way to get this under the salary cap. So I don't know what they're paying Yedlin between Miami and Cincy, but that GAM was such a specific number that's meaningful in some way. I just haven't dove into the weeds to figure out what. But if they did get Yedlin's salary off with Mota's salary off today, that they shed like 1.6 million, and the cap is only what 5.7, something like that. So, good things. I think it gives them more roster flexibility, which they're going to need. But I'm still very curious how they set up this weekend, both for Champions Cup and in league play. It's very hard to know what they're going to do right now, because if you just do a back four with Gressel and Alba, unless you have whoever your 8 is to drop back and form like a makeshift back 3 all of a sudden, when you push up, Miami is going to be stretched defensively. So because Gressel and Alba are both just primary attacking fullbacks. So we'll see what they do.
Right on. Okay, let's jump into it then, and we'll kind of hit on some storylines as we go from team to team as they kind of roll through here. First game we're going to talk about is an interesting one for me. It's NYCFC going to be playing their home opener. This game is at Yankee Stadium, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this one will be at in the Bronx area, Yankee Stadium, visiting Portland Timbers coming to town. Let's get to it, but kind of as we go, like, is Portland the real deal or not? Because like I know they had some good results, but like the XGs aren't really there, and Evander hasn't even played yet. So like, how do we feel about this team?
Yeah, I was thinking about Portland today. I have to see them with their DPs. They haven't had either DP on the field yet this season, because my gut wants to say this is the most fraudulent team in the MLS.
Right.
But without seeing their DPs, it's hard to say what they actually are. Evander was back at training, so I expect him this weekend to at least make the bench. If not, get back in there and start. It all depends on his fitness. We'll see. But he is back at training, which is great. But yeah, so I'm going to hit this game for both teams to score. And it's I got it at -115. Definitely shop around. That line can have 30 cents difference depending on the book you're at. That I saw just a couple hours ago. And yeah, it's interesting, right? Neither one of these teams have created a lot. I know Portland has 6 goals, but they haven't actually created a lot. Only 1.3 expected goals through 2 games. And that's with no DPs. So I'm not surprised they haven't created a lot. I am surprised how many they've already scored. New York City, I mean, we've seen it. 2 road games, basically a 0.5 XG a game, right? Like they're just you used the term choppy, I think last week.
Yeah.
And it is. It's a choppy attack. However, I want to give them a little bit of the doubt here because I talked about how young they are. Charlotte and St. Louis, like there are not probably more vibrant, more intimidating places to go right now when you think about it, right? Because both those fan bases are still relatively new, great facilities. So even when Charlotte wasn't doing um well, fans still came out, right? Like there's stuff to see and do there.
Yeah.
So those are tough atmospheres to go into. And so when you got such a young team going on the road, those are your first 2 road games. It's honestly not super surprising that NYC struggled. However, they're going back to Yankee Stadium where they historically have a great advantage. And so I do think they score their first goal of the season in this game. When you look at the expected goals against, Portland's at a 3.2. That defense has not been what we thought it would be to start the season when they went out and got Kamal Miller and stuff like that. So the defense is struggling to start. NYC's defense hasn't been great. That's a 2.8 expected goals against so far this season. And I know it's really small sample sizes, so I'm not even going to dwell on the stats too much. But Portland has shown that they have a tendency to at least find the net at Yankee Stadium. Like if you just go back and look, this isn't a team that just goes to the East Coast and the offense dries up. Evander coming back to training is a nice bump. So I think we could see at least 1-1. I think there's probably even value in NYC plus both teams to score. Here, at Yankee Stadium, I just think they get it together. And now they've got a couple of games under their belt. It's interesting, though, because I hate both these coaches. So this game could be an absolute train wreck as well. In this spot versus these two teams with some questionable defenses already this season, I think that price is decent for a line that I think could come home.
Yeah, the price for me is kind of, I don't want to say the silver lining, but it's the only way that I'm kind of okay with this. I'm kind of scarred a little bit from watching NYCFC so far this year. We talked about the youth last episode, and maybe they are a little more comfortable at home. I saw last game a couple of interesting roster notes for NYC. Really, they're 3 young, like up and coming, could be stars: Julian Fernandez, Ojeda, and Mijatovic, the young Serbian striker. They didn't even start; they all came in off the bench. So you got to think,
and I think but I do think it's on purpose. Like I said,
yeah.
It's New York is not an easy place to get used to, right? Especially if you're coming from a completely different country. And going on the road, there's going to be that you're not comfortable anyway. So I think they're bringing those guys along slowly, and it makes sense to me. It's not fun if you're a New York City, fan, or if you're a neutral fan hoping to see like that young attacking talent really, take off and blossom.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say second half NYC is going to be different from first half NYC as far as the season long outlook.
Sure.
But I don't know if Cushing will make the season. Like if they keep this up, if they struggle, he was already feeling kind of the hot seat last season.
Yeah.
If they don't pick it up here soon, you might see Citigroup step in and make a change.
And we wouldn't mind that, to be honest with you. I don't think either of us would mind that. But yeah, when I looked at this game, I immediately was drawn to NYCFC to win the game, just because of the spot, right? Like you said, they're back home. They always play better at Yankee Stadium. Portland has seemingly been a little bit fraudulent, to be honest with you. So like, to me, it does feel like an NYCFC spot. The trust just isn't there for me yet. But everything you said, and like I see like a 2-1 here, to be honest with you. With and so you said NYCFC plus both teams to score, not a bad look. I'm right there with you. This is just like me personally, like low on my trust meter, which is understandable the way that NYC has looked so far this year. But price is good. Let's get a 2-1 and let's cash.
And you said it before too. Here we bet lines, right? We don't bet the teams.
Correct.
So
Yeah, we bet spots.
I get it that the trust not being there, but yeah, I just don't think it should be minus 115.
I agree. All right, next game. And I switched this one up on you. I sent you another one, but I'm going to change to this game.
Curveball.
Yeah, a little curveball for Footman. Look, I'm going with an under here. I'm going San Jose, Vancouver under 3 at a minus 132. Look, LA Galaxy was. I said it last week. They're the best attack in Major League Soccer. They go to San Jose. They scored. They scored 2 or 3 in the first half. 2, right?
2, yeah.
The game ends 3-1. Really impressive, but like Vancouver doesn't have a paint sill anymore. They don't have crazy lightning bolt speed and athleticism. Larea's gone. They had some other speed that's no longer there. They've got somebody else that's hurt. You mentioned him the other day as far as like speed on the wing. Vancouver doesn't have that. Vancouver has looked very sound and organized, which I like for an under. They look like a veteran team, but they're lacking pop. Like they're lacking explosiveness so far this season. Vancouver to San Jose, West Coast to West Coast. I'm not like super concerned about the travel like I would be if East Coast was going to West Coast. So like I'm not super worried about a blowout. San Jose, I went and looked, and this is off of memory. So just like if I'm like off of a game or something, San Jose, 14 of their last 15 games have failed to go over 3 goals. So like these guys have really battened down the hatches like last 10 games of the season last year. And I don't think San Jose looked like, it's not like they looked like they were like falling and tripping over their feet, like, bad angles, bad organization against LA Galaxy. LA Galaxy can score 2+ goals on anybody in Major League Soccer. That's how good that attack is. So I like San Jose actually defensively. I think they're pretty good. I think they'll be extra buttoned up for this one. Like we can't let this happen again. And I think it's a very good matchup because I don't think anybody's blowing the other team out of the water with crazy mismatches or anything. I think this one is like, I'm gonna say 2-0 San Jose. That's what I'm gonna say. My prediction.
Wow.
Yeah. But I think it's comfortably under 3, maybe worst case a push. But yeah, that's where I'm at with this one.
Interesting. Not only is it under, but you think San Jose win.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I'm very okay. All right. All right. I was trying to look at some stuff while you were giving your spiel, just so I could.
Don't judge my score prediction. Judge my under here.
So here's what I will say about the under with my number one concern. And it is the reason why San Jose looked so sound defensively last season was their goalkeeper stood on his head and played great. And Daniel has looked abysmal these first 2 games. I mean, he has looked bad. What I think plays in the under favor is Vancouver's coach is still suspended, right? And I think there was a clear lack of aggressiveness with that. Sartini is so animated on the sideline that I think it's easy to feed off of that. And the assistant that was filling in just wasn't that, man. Very, very just stone cold, even keel. And the whole reason Vancouver did not take all 3 points last week is because they just were not aggressive enough, like point blank. So I think that helps your under. Daniel's the huge question mark, man. Like, there's 2 things that need to happen here. Daniel needs to play better, but also the Quakes need to get what's his name, Pellegrino. Yeah, Pellegrino involved, man. Like everything flows through Espinoza on the right side, and the left side just doesn't see the ball.
Yeah,
and you've got to get Pellegrino involved more if you want to be more threatening. Because it can't just be Espinoza, even though he's one of the better wingers in MLS. you've got to be able to switch and make teams second guess. I like that it's the hard 3 here. If it was a 2 like 7-5, I would be like, nah, I'm probably not there, because I think this could get to 3, right? And you definitely want that push protection. But yeah, for this to go under, you need Daniel to step up and not be what he has been. And to counter what I said, you need the Quakes to keep going on the right side so that they don't create, right? Like if you just lock in on Espinoza and don't create, then they're not threatening. They haven't threatened yet this season. It is a bad start for San Jose.
Yeah, and I just think, the big thing for me with Vancouver is you had guys like Larea and Gressel that could, get up the sidelines, create, have some pace, and like they're not there anymore. So and Krylak, you really brought that to my attention.
I said it week 1, and I think he's absolutely jamming that team's chemistry.
I agree. And like
I hate it. I like Krylak. I think he's been a great player, but I think he is killing that team's chemistry.
I agree. And I think that favors an under here as well. All right, on to the next one. Here we go. All right, Cincinnati hosting DC.
So this is the Sunday game, jumping around a little bit. And this is really, we talked about we bet lines, right? This is a situational plus price spot for me, where you're getting Cincy on 2 days rest after a difficult first leg where they host Monterey. They'll be already looking ahead to Monterey on Thursday, because Cincy hasn't looked great yet to start the season, and they haven't really been challenged yet in Champions Cup. So I'm interested to see what this Monterey match does. And yeah, especially if Cincy gets out of there with a loss, it's going to be all eyes to Thursday and prepping for that, because that's what they're banking on their season right now for. I mentioned it. They didn't look great versus Toronto or Chicago, and both of those are, in my opinion, much easier matchups than DC. That Champions Cup hangover is just real. And so I'm leaning into it here. It helps that DC United have been great out of the gate. Benteke went down in warmups yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, last week, right before the Portland game, and DC still generated 2 expected goals versus that, which I thought was super impressive, because in the first week, granted, they were playing against a 10-man Revolution side for most of the game, but it was all Benteke. The whole thing was feed Benteke, feed him, and he just feasted. But no, they're still able to create without him. And this was like they didn't game plan for it. He went down in warmups and they had to adjust on the fly. So it wasn't easy. I'm super impressed with Aaron Herrera. He's always been good, decent to good. But he has started the season off in fire, and assists in each game. I think when he's at his best, he's definitely one of the best wingbacks in the league. That's helping them a lot. I don't have any update on Benteke outside he was hurt in warmups. So I don't know, but since this is a Sunday game, DC are going to get an extra day of rest. So we'll see if he can recover before then. But like I said, using the Portland game as an example, I'm not worried about DC creating, right? Since he's not an easy place to go to, but I'm just going to just lean into this hangover of Champions Cup with such a pivotal match just 2 days before. A fun note for DC, by the way, is that trip to Portland is the only West Coast match they have this season.
Wow.
After this, they don't go farther than the Mississippi River. So, I think DC is one to watch now. They're off to a good start, and the schedule gets easier from here. And that we're only into week 3, but not technically, but that's what we're calling it. That MLS is trying to say Miami and Galaxy was match week 1, just that one game, and I'm not buying it.
No, we're not on board with that officially. Yeah. So no, I like this. I had this one written down as well. We've got a couple of looks that you and I both are probably going to be on. So like sometimes we have to kind of share, This is one that I really liked. I'm fade Cincinnati right now with Champions Cup. I think that we both agree Cincinnati is a team that has regressed, compared to their team last year. And they're dealing with Champions Cup, which like you said is a priority for them. DC United, it would be great if we have Benteke here, but I think I'm comfortable with it either way. Love the price here. I mean, dude, getting a double chance like in this situationally, I think is very in the realm of possibility. We're not asking DC to go on the road and win. We're asking them to go.
They could pull an Austin for all I care and just park it. I don't care.
I don't want to hear that reference ever again.
But double chance at even money, yes. I mean, like I said, situational plus price equals, yeah. This is a play I'm firing on.
Yeah, I like it. All right, that's I don't have a whole lot for it, but I do like it, and we'll keep it moving. All right, next one. I know we both like this one. Atlanta at home at the Benz, hosting New England Revs, and I'm going to be on Atlanta United money line here, minus 125, minus 130s, minus 125. That's kind of where this one's at right now.
It is moving.
And it's moving, and I expect it to move. So lock it in.
I don't think it'll be playable come the weekend.
Yeah, I don't see why it would be. Revs also dealing with Champions Cup. They play tomorrow, so fairly short rest. And I like Atlanta, man. We talked about who was a defensive mid that you said was such an underrated signing. Was it for Toronto?
Flores for Toronto.
Yeah. Okay. Slits.
He is, just to touch on him for a second, shut down Acosta and shut down Carlos Hill his first 2 weeks. I mean, dude's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, he's somebody needs to drug test him or something because he's going nuts. But Slits for Atlanta, the Polish midfielder that they got from I think they got him from Legia. Warsaw. Let me make sure. Yeah, they did get him from Legia. So I like him. I think that was an underrated signing. It was 3.3 million. I think, dude, this team was desperately in need of that position in the midfield, and they went and got it. I think it's good. I think it was a good role to fill. Zonde Silva, the winger, quietly was really good last year, second half of the year. He's back. The team looks good. Obviously, Almada's still here at the 10, and Giacomakis, the Greek freak there at the striker. And these guys just ball at the Benz, man. This is where they play their best ball. They always have. Last year, Caleb Wiley is a year older. I'm pretty high on the kid, so he's just going to get better. I don't love Guzan at this point in his career, but like that's not going to throw me off the whole play. But like in general, I like Atlanta. I think they filled some spots that they needed to fill. That attack is great. It's going to be great at home. And I'm not high on New England right now, and they're balancing Champions Cup. Atlanta United money line. You're on this one too. So what do you like about it?
Yeah. So I need to say, like, I like the Revolution a lot. I just don't like him in this spot, right? It's 2 days coming off Champions Cup. We've talked about it. That's a spot to just attack, man. Like there is free money in attacking Champions Cup teams early in the season. It's like that every year. So coming off, again, going to be on short rest, just 2 days as they play on 3-6, and then their game versus Atlanta's on 3-9. Atlanta doesn't get the same turf bonus they get against other teams because the Revolution play on turf.
Right.
So it's not a big adjustment for some other teams, but they play well at home. If this was a regular game where both teams are rested, I'm probably looking at goals is where I would go here. But I have to expect the Revolution to rotate. I don't see how they don't. They don't have a easy cup match coming up against the Costa Rican side. Yeah, it's a side it's a game they should win. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going. I don't think it's easy. Like they're not going.
And then they have to turn around and go to Costa Rica. So
yes, And so, but they might go comfortable. Like they might go to Costa Rica comfortable. But even if I get a stronger than expected 11 from Revolution, well, now I'm looking at tired legs, right? And this dude, especially the wingers for Atlanta, are going to run them ragged. That they're just explosive. Atlanta also didn't play last weekend, and so there's a little more extra rest for Atlanta, a little more preparation. I like when a team gets like an extra week to game plan. So yeah, I think this is another good spot. Again, this is moved. You got it at 125. I pulled it at 135. So I expect this to be 150 or worse by the weekend. But yes, this is my favorite play of the weekend in this spot is Atlanta.
Sweet. Love to hear it. Double stamp there. Let's go. All right. Last one. And Garrett, this is yours. We got a parlay. Got some parlay action here. Here we go.
Yeah. So I'm taking a Western Conference home team parlay, right? Like what could be more chalk? But we talked about it. The West Coast home field advantage. That's a real thing, man. So like anytime I get to like group it like this against two matchups that I really like, that just helps like give me the little extra boost to fire on the play. So you got LAFC and they're going to host Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City is one of the oldest teams in the league. They do not have the pace to run with LAFC up top. They're just not going to be able to hang. They're also tied for last in big chances. So again, small sample size. It's hard to really dive into the stats from an analytical standpoint so far. But I bring that up because they played Houston without any weapons and then a heavily rotated Philadelphia side. Like they haven't played good teams. And so they just can't create right now. For RSL, I throw the snow game away for both LAFC and RSL. I throw that snow game in the trash. None of that counts. I'm leaning just on their week one look because quite honestly, while it was fun to watch a snowpocalypse, it was not good soccer. It wasn't good football to watch. It was, bad. I think everyone in that game has a right to be mad as they are that they had to play it. But RSL has looked good to start the season. And guess what? The Colorado Rapids still suck. Like you can make all those changes. When they've made that coaching hire, I said, they're going to be bad because Armas is not good. And he's shown that everywhere he's gone. Also, Zach Steffen, I think the cat's out of the bag now. Like I said, he's a massive liability. I mean, he is not good. It's not great for the Rapids right now.
That was a terrible signing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I get it. Like you're trying to make some waves. You needed a goalkeeper. Your goalkeeper was bad. But yeah, this definitely ain't the answer.
No.
What I really like about RSL is I look at week one when they went on the road to St. Louis and they dominated that game statistically. So I was happy with how they started the season. Now, unfortunately, like literally 2 minutes before he came on, it came out that Pablo Ruiz suffered a knee injury in training today and is out the rest of the season.
Oh,
don't love that. But luckily, Matty Crooks is finally taking over the 10 spot. So Pablo Ruiz can drop back into he would have dropped back into that 6th spot in midfield. So he's great for the buildup, right? But Ruiz was always the assist to the assist. He was never the playmaker when they had him running the 10 these first 2 games.
Right.
So I like Crooks up there. He's looked good. And then you get Luna on one side, Gomez on the other, Arango up top. That's a good attack going up against a Rapid side that still looks like they have a long way to go in terms of chemistry. Now, RSL might be playable for you depending on your juice tolerance. I was seeing between like minus 145 and minus 150. I just didn't want to lay that price here when I could get LAFC, who I think is also in an attractive spot, slam them together and then get something like a plus 175. That's way more appealing to me in this spot than just eating the juice on RSL.
Yeah. Well, first I'll start with Colorado. Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, I mean, they made all these changes they're still just Colorado. And look, Sporting Kansas City, similar situation, man. I don't know. It's like they
Too
struggled
old.
through last year. Vermees still here. Has in fact, didn't he sign an extension? And just like no changes. The starting lineup that these guys are putting out are like they're 32 years old on average. That's got to be one of the oldest of all time for Major League Soccer. LAFC, they're at home, should be just fine. I'm right there with you on RSL. I think they've been one of the early bright spots. Hate that they lose Ruiz, but having Crooks be able to come in at the 10 is a luxury that most teams definitely don't have.
And Ruiz is a big deal. Like I don't. It's only because they're still playing the Rapids that I'm like, yeah, I'm still gonna fire on this. That Ruiz injury is going to cost them come playoff time. Like I can now safely, in my opinion, take them out of any kind of damage in the playoffs because of how their system is set up, where they're so route one. And it's always been Ruiz who unleashes it either to Luna or Gomez, and then they send it in for Arango to get to score. They're going to miss him, but the Rapids do not scare me. So even with that news breaking right before we started, I'm still very comfortable with this play.
Is it a knee injury?
Yeah, the way they're describing it, it looks like he tore.
That's tough, man. That's a huge loss for them. Wow. Cool. Well, we'll run these for you guys one more time here at the bottom, from front to back. Portland and New York City, both teams to score. Then we're going back to the West Coast, San Jose, Vancouver, under 3. Jose in the chat, always good to hear from you, brother. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Then we've also jumping to Cincinnati, where we're taking DC United double chance, plus a half a goal on the spread. Then we're going to the Bens, taking Atlanta United on the money line. Probably both of our favorite play of the week. Both really like this spot. And then the parlay to round out the card, RSL money line, LAFC money line. Love that plus 175 there. That's always good. You get 2 units for 1 almost. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. Show's a little shorter tonight. Had a few less plays than last week, but really good week 2. So we're looking to keep that going. Guys, quick reminder, because I reminded everybody last week and it made a big difference. Like the video, makes a huge difference as far as SEO and all that stuff. So, Garrett, any closing remarks?
No, it's as always. It's thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Please like and subscribe and all that jazz. And best of luck to all of your bets this weekend. Always.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday, and let's crush this weekend.